Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can we start with roll call, please?
Richard Amici.
Here.
Amanda Van Arken is absent tonight. David DeBoss is absent tonight. Brian Dorothy is absent tonight. Diane Foster here. Lawrence O'Keefe.
Here.
Mike Smith.
Here.
Chris West is absent tonight, and Lori Zwingli
Here.
and Council President Kim Young. Here, thank you.
Good, thanks so much. First thing we need to do is approve the October meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Motion to accept minutes is written.
Second.
All right, there's a motion, a second. Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries. Next, we have citizen comments. Any comments?
No citizen comments tonight.
Up next, board member announcements. So, Larry, why don't you go ahead and start?
Oh, certainly. We attended the Traffic Safety Committee meeting for Thursday. There was,
Wait, no, that's the traffic.
I'm sorry,
This is just announcements. This is,
I don't have any announcements. Sorry. I got off into the traffic. I wanted to be ready.
just wanted to.
Let's start over. No announcements. I had the pleasure of volunteering for the Marjorie Stewart Senior Center as their driver. And so my eyes have been open to the volunteer needs of the city, with the senior center, the food pantry, a bunch of other places. There's no shortage of places to volunteer, send food or clothes or monetary donations. They're all out there waiting for you to call them. That's all I got.
Awesome. All right, Bill?
Probably no announcements. I guess I always shout out the social media, and it's so interesting to watch the people that comment and give positive feedback are from all over the place. I mean, out of state, all the way on the other side of the country, and they're like, I just love the content on your page. So you guys are reaching a broad audience.
Yeah, thanks. It's obviously there's a ton of engagement, which is the whole idea that. And I don't know if Councilor you're gonna talk about it, but we talked about it briefly at the work session, but obviously just that the goal was to keep people up to date. Yeah, because we know if anything occurs, if sirens go off, they used to text me, you know, what's going on? Now they just can't social media. They're just like, they can go find the answer really quick, but I think that's where everybody goes to try and figure out what's happening. So thank you for that.
All right, Mike?
I don't have any personal announcements. I do have a question on an article I saw in Oregon Live, but that can relate it. So.
Larry?
I do, to follow up on what Larry said, the post about the rescue of the young child who was up on the roof. I was so pleased with how that was handled, and the fact that the family was willing to share that information and the way the PD put that information out there. I thought it was so important for the community to be able to see the differences, you know, the things that are needed for some of the different members of our community and how our PD handled it. I thought the whole thing was just wonderful. And you know, it just goes to once again show how wonderful our PD is. So kudos to you, Chief, and all of the responding officers. So congratulations. That was lovely.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, and I agree. It also showcases that when police officers respond, it's not just because there's a crime. Exactly. It's not because they're coming to get you, you know, it's like they're there to help too. And yeah, that was just well done. I'm so grateful that the family allowed them to share the video too. That was really helpful.
Well, I think, and just to piggyback on that, the educational piece was really what we wanted to get out there, because as you've probably seen in a lot of the comments, there was a lot of people that have dealt with this in one fashion or another, and it gave them a venue to express that and to let others know. I mean, it was kind of cool. It's like this village came together with, you know, these challenges that people face in different ways. And so bringing it to light, I think was very beneficial all the way around. And what was really cool is we had the BBC inquiring about our footage to get it out. So it's made it, you know, across the world in some
Did the
sense.
family know it would go that wide?
I know.
Couple quick announcements. I say this every year, drive through Old Town, it's so beautiful when those lights string up on those trees, I just love it, it always puts a smile on my face when you go and see it, just feels so charming to be part of this community. And then the other thing is, and Kim, I know you had a hand in distributing info on this, but this Saturday at Cars and Coffee, there's a petition signing happening for the
I
gas.
don't know if you want to get political discussion during a.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying, just because it's an event that's kind of happening,
Yes.
that there's, what time is the Cars and Coffee thing? Is that-
8 to 10, 8 AM to 10 AM. There's opportunity if somebody wants to sign on the no transportation tax.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of discussion in the community, so I'm interested in signing, I know that's gonna be happening there. And then also, isn't there a Santa? Ride with Santa happening at Langers, like in the next couple weeks?
December 6th from 10 AM to 1 PM. TBFNR will be there to do Santa rides, and it's a toy drive. So TBFNR collects toys, Sherwood Police Foundation collects toys for the PD, and then Langers itself usually has a bin inside for the Marine Corps toy drive. That's the word. So yeah, December 6th, 10 AM to
So
1.
that's not the Cars and Coffee.
think
That's outside those
Coffee
hours.
Sort of, they advertise it as part of their event, but Cars and Coffee kind of goes first, and it sort of just melds into each other.
Okay. We did that last year with my kids, and my advice would be get there early, because there's a long line for the fire truck.
That's right, I remember seeing you, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, that's it for announcements. Business. So the first thing is decision on December meeting. Our December meeting is December 18th. You said that historically it's been canceled because there's
We
been
used to have the boards and commissions dinner.
dinner
One
at the
last.
same time.
I feel like we didn't have one last December either.
We didn't have a meeting last December.
The city council is also not having their December 16th meeting, so, I mean, unless chief, you see anything major coming up on the agenda for that.
I think the 4 or 5 that weren't here tonight need to show up next time.
So I know I won't be in town that weekend, the Wednesday through Saturday of that December 18th week, so I wouldn't be there. I'd be in favor of canceling it. Just that there isn't enough for a quorum or whatnot.
So move.
Be canceled?
That's a motion?
It is my.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Lori, did you look like you had something to say?
No,
We're into vote, then all those in favor say aye. Aye.
I,
Any opposed? All right. So meeting is canceled.
And then we also, just so Sabrina knows, for Angie, we also canceled our police foundation meeting, so won't be nobody in.
Oh,
All right, so the next business is the goals for city council. So next week or 2 weeks from now, city council is having a meeting with all the chairs, and it's a chance for us to kind of share what we've done throughout the year and go over what the goals for the next year are. I'm glad that you printed the goals out for us. I went back and listened to the YouTube to try and write them down because the city website's been updated and I can't find past minutes. I was searching and I just couldn't find anything. But anyway, I wrote them down and these are a lot better. So, we need to come up with goals for this year. Having listened to the meeting again last year when we talked about the goals, the way we kind of formatted it was we looked at what the board, the charter was, you know, what we were kind of tasked with, and we used those to come up with the goals, and then we injected some things like use of social media and so on. And we kind of came up with these nice generic, for lack of a better word, goals that just kind of encompass what it is the board does and how we'll kind of want to continue our mission. So this is our chance, I think, to discuss. If we use the goals we had last year as kind of a launching point, kind of discuss what we have and figure out if we want to tweak any or make any changes, add anything, adapt anything, keep them as is and just carry it forward another year or whatnot. That's kind of where I feel a good starting would be.
And I'll just point, we're gonna have every board chair there, so that's 6 or 7 boards. So really, what we're gonna want is like 2 or 3 things from each board chair to keep the meeting going. And then we're gonna take what you guys provide and see if there's anything we need to fold into our goals. So, I mean, like, I would suspect the potential fee or levy is gonna be a, something that's.
So any discussion on goals?
Well, I think I was on my sabbatical last year when these goals were produced, but when I read them over, it's like, dang, those are really good. I really couldn't see anything that needed to be changed or additions.
I was thinking we need to keep funding and that's probably our top goal, I would assume.
Funding,
For the police, sorry,
like the,
moving forward with the adjustment to the utility bill,
whatever that looks like.
whatever it looks like.
So
We're staying ahead of, police department needs through various planning,
anticipating.
right? It could be funding, it could be just planning for it, it could be.
Anticipating growth of the department through Sherwood West and just, regular growth and what that looks from a staffing and therefore funding perspective and how we can help, meet the growth criteria of the department, something along those lines.
Yeah, I think it's twofold to your point. I mean, it's sustainability to our current level of service, but also the outlook of what the next 5 and 10 years will look like, because can't wait till then. And so too, it's sustainability and then addressing growth. And with that, it's not just personnel, it's the biggest challenge we have is technology. This technology really is driving everything, is everybody everywhere is impacted by it. So what's that gonna look like for us? And all these feed into it really well, I think. I mean, all these, forgot how good we get to it. I'm like, man, they're pretty sweet. So number one, is there anything that we can do as a PD to increase that awareness? I mean, because I think our challenge is that I've heard is that people just don't understand what we do. And is there things that we can use our platforms for to educate people a little more, not opposed to using it to recruit if we want, but I think the hurdle that we've always had is nobody understands what this is about and,
What the path.
yeah, the board is what I was formed for so if we can do something that can help with messaging, obviously at your direction, if you had a theme or something that we wanted to put out quarterly or however, I wouldn't be opposed to trying to figure that out, that we could get out. And we even talk about goals, what we've accomplished if we want, or what's going on. Obviously, we're gonna be talking about potential levy or fees, and so that will be an easy connection, but aside from that, there are other things.
Like, maybe even like the first post could be almost like a did you know, right? Did you know your city has a police advisory board. And you just do a little blurb that's made up of volunteers to learn more about our police department, share with our community, but very simple. And almost like a, did you know? And then maybe the next one, like you said, quarterly or something, maybe the next one is another.
Talk about maybe
fact or
what one thing they've accomplished in the last quarter or.
something they worked on, or, but maybe that leads up to, because it's just people seeing. I mean, I know not everyone is on social media, but your social media gets a lot of attention. So maybe it's that, just little blurbs, but the first one starts very simple, like, did you know we have this board? Well, we seem to get applications when there's openings, but maybe not everybody might not want to serve on it, but they should just know the basics of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least be able to citizen comment or something, or.
yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, who, not that we need citizen comments every time, but if they came with a concern or an interest in, that this is the venue to do it, because I just don't think people know. Hence, did you know?
There's a police advisory board, and I would imagine we would have heard about it by now if they do. But do we get input and questions like the traffic safety committee meeting does,
No.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's a distinct difference. I mean, you're an advisory board, versus, an inquiry or an oversight board, which is way different, just not a path we want to go down, so. But,
Which is what most of our boards and commissions are, advisory boards.
Yeah.
The traffic safety board is in theory also an advisory board, but they have a little bit more tools that they can use to actually make some decisions.
and I guess I should clarify. I mean, if somebody had a concern about what was going on in the community, yes, they could come to us, they could come to me, they could come here and express that. Would this necessarily be the place that we would try and resolve it? I don't know, because I wouldn't know what it is. But we're just, taking away from oversight of like complaints, because I think sometimes you guys get emails and things of.
Which is out of your scope, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's always this, making sure we're staying in our lanes per se, but.
We had that in our first few years, that it was a little bit of a complaint. There was a lot, and it made it very like uncomfortable and kind of tension, and then, we weren't in a place to respond. So we were just like, thank you for sharing your very stressful advice. And then that was it, like that, we weren't decision making, we weren't gonna debate or talk about any.
Because the board doesn't oversee the.
Yeah, we
yeah.
don't govern anything, so.
This is good. I mean, those are things that we can clarify and give direction with, so. I'll see what I can put together and then bring it back.
The only time I hear about the police advisory board is when there's an opening and we advertise, there's the applications. But other than that, I don't really hear anyone from the community talking about needing a way to reach out to the department, whatnot. It's different, you hear a lot of traffic issues that come up and people always point them towards the complaint form, like, here's how you submit a request. Never hear any chatter through social media about people needing to get in touch with the police who haven't already figured out how to do it because they have a real, issue that they're.
I mean, I suppose like one example of somebody who might come would be if we were, because police advisory board does review the policies of the police department before they go to city council. If somebody was not happy with a policy that was being made, they could come, and this would be a good place for them to voice their opinion. Not that if it was a state mandated one, we could do anything about it, but if it was one that our department was putting on themselves, they could offer their opinion. We could offer, you guys could offer your advice to city council, which then would make a decision. So something like that, somebody could do, but we don't really have very many of our own policies.
No, very good.
Well, this may sound silly, but I see the stickers on back of the cars, proud parent of, honor student of whatever, et cetera. Possibility of proud member of Sherwood Police Advisory Board stickers. Like. Get garner some queries.
Yeah, I mean, people do some of that stuff. It's, I think a lot of that's moved to some signage and, what's the signs that they?
Yeah, I love our Sherwood PD.
Yeah.
I love my Sherwood PD.
Yeah.
Foundation.
I need a new one, Kim, by the way.
And that might not be a bad idea.
what?
I need a new one, a new sign. I love my Sherwood PD.
Okay.
Might not be a bad idea for car stickers, window stickers, like
Yeah.
those oval ones, the same thing, the blue one, I love my Sherwood PD.
Just a sign of the police advisory board would solicit inquiries if people were so inclined to just stick them somewhere, I guess, but, or the sticker.
So there's, there's 9 of us now.
Yeah.
Politics managers, I get it.
I have quite a number of people asking about some of the stickers I've got on my car windows.
So I wrote a new goal based on, before we got to number 1, when we were talking about funding. I'm just gonna read it out maybe so you can capture it. So examine funding needs of the department. Ensure sustainability of current services while anticipating growth over the next 5 to 10 years. Address changes to staffing needs and emergence of technology. Is that kind of an encapsulating message for funding? That's the technology portion. I'm gonna go home and do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once you put that through Copilot or ChatGPT, it's gonna be great.
And I kind of think that that should be our primary goal for this year. That's the one we should share with council, and that's the one,
I would agree with that.
especially since we've been talking about a levy or a fee or some sort of mechanism to obtain this funding and apart from the general fund. And with next year being a even year with election, it seems reasonable that this might be on the November election, so it needs to be brought up this year.
Can you read it again, Richard?
Sure. That examine funding needs of the department, ensure sustainability of current services while anticipating growth over the next 5 to 10 years, address changes to staffing needs and emergence of technology.
That's really good. It encapsulates everything that we were just talking about into one.
But do we want to say anticipating growth or evaluating growth? Or just words.
Fine with either. It's,
Hey, I'll fix all that, write it out.
yeah. I was saying anticipating because Sherwood West isn't for sure. It isn't a done deal or anything yet at this point, so we're planning, but it might, all those plans might go by the wayside or might get pushed out or whatnot, so like, we want to act now knowing something's coming, but we don't know what it is.
But then that leads me to your evaluating.
So yeah, evaluating.
I was like, ooh, because then we're like, okay, we think it might be, but it might not be, but.
Yeah, it's anticipating makes it more sound like sure thing, Dave.
I think that our community will still be young and growing, but there's definitely other suburb communities, that their communities age, and then they definitely do sit in more of an evaluating their growth. I don't think that's us anytime soon, but there's a lot of neighbors like Oswego, others that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been talked about a lot is just aging in place and what's that look like demographically for sure when who's here now. I mean, I came here 30 years ago thinking, I'm not gonna get old. No, I'm gonna go.
Good looking at it.
Yeah.
So evaluating instead of anticipating, that seems reasonable to go that direction, I think. are any of these goals outdated? Should we cross any off or? Are they all good enough to kind of stay?
Always ongoing, I think.
I think
Yeah.
we're just really well.
These all kind of stay, but we have one that's kind of our focus.
Yeah. And then probably if we had a not as important, but another important is just the awareness of what our board does to the community. So if you were to talk about like two things, I wouldn't let it take away from the larger discussion.
I mean, I feel like the one that you did is part of number 3 as like an action item type of part of number 3.
Mhm.
You know how we have our goal and then we have our like action items kind of thing, but.
We can replace 3 with that goal and just be more specific or just add that into in addition.
It could just be A underneath that kind of.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
I guess something.
3A. Cause 3 seems like it would stay
yeah,
applicable for like forward years.
that also applies to policies and other things. 3 moves to 1, this becomes a sub goal specific to 2026.
Yeah. I'll be running that meeting that night because Tim, the mayor, is out of the country,
What, when?
December 2nd.
Oh.
There's a few things, like you have your goals as a board that aren't necessarily gonna flow into the council goals, but then you now have a goal that likely would flow into the council goals. We couldn't get every board and commissions all their goals into our goals, because also the city council has I mean, they have to like align with,
Are you good with all that, Lori? Can you hear us? Okay.
Should we move to make that official,
You need a motion?
the addition to the goals and the realignment of our priorities?
Before I make a motion, do we want to have that finalized at the next meeting into words, or because your meeting is December 2nd?
yeah, just kind of, I mean, Richard needs to go to that meeting with your guys' backing of what you want him to portray to us. The wording doesn't have to be exact, so I mean.
So I would take a motion that would say, we support the general. Take that goal to the next planning meeting with the board support,
With adding the additional.
adding that
verbiage.
addition.
Second.
All right, any discussions? Okay, well, let's go ahead and vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Yeah, I think that that's a good one that we can sink our teeth into and. Okay, well, that's it for our goal setting. I think that's a good one. Next, let's just move on to the traffic safety board updates. So now we get to go. Your spot there.
I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm good on pins and needles.
As you guys know, before we get started, I do have one quick thing from the traffic meeting. We had a guest speaker. Was there to talk to us about the mobile cameras. And after you left, the question came up and I told everyone I'd run back here to get the answer. Someone asked if we were to put those mobile cameras up in front of the middle school on Heineke, are they smart enough to adjust for the school speed? Like they would show 30 or 35 the whole time, or 25, I don't even know what it is.
During school.
And then adjust down to 20 during school hours.
Yes,
Yes, they are.
and I will talk more about all those when we get to my,
Uh-huh.
I will answer your question right now, yes.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. What else did we talk about?
Obviously, we've talked about speeding a lot. Speeding is the main complaint that people fill out. They want to decrease the speed limit. There was a large discussion of decreasing the speed limit after a request, and the person that made the request did their homework on as far as making a presentation for, they timed driving down Sunset, the 1.5 miles or whatever it was. They timed it, they timed it going 30 miles an hour, they timed it going 25, and it was like an extra minute and a half or something. They did a really great presentation. The only problem is if you want to change, if anybody wants to change the speed limits, you guys know that it's a whole big process that involves ODOT, the county, the city. It could take, if everything, all the stars align and they want to, it's decided that there's a need to reduce that speed limit. And I'm thinking Edie Road was a good example. It took over a year, and if everything goes well, it could take 2 years. So the board made the decision to let the person know that there is a process that it goes through, but I wouldn't expect it's an arterial, and arterials are by definition 35.
What road were they talking about?
Sunset.
The
That's a city.
proposal,
Is that a city?
it is city, but the ask was, and there were multiple people who submitted the ask to reduce the speed to 25 for the entire stretch of Sunset. And the discussion focused on, it's not, even though there's schools and kids that play on it, it's not a residential street, it's an arterial street, and its purpose is to move traffic through. And if you slow it down, it slows traffic and it causes a different set of issues. So we wouldn't have the tools in our toolbox to go to ODOT and argue to declassify it as an arterial road, because it is. So, we would kind of be stuck not being able to have any kind of a positive result trying to justify getting it to 25.
Brought the information's, city staff brought that,
Yeah.
that's arterial and it would need approval. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
it would have to go to ODOT because it's an arterial road, not a residential road, and therefore it wouldn't
Yeah.
qualify.
We have control over our residential roads, like we could reduce them, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, and I think their argument was, well, there's driveways that open right onto Sunset, and I think we counted them maybe on one hand, the actual
Yeah,
driveways that, that back right onto Sunset. Anyway, we advised them of their opportunity to see this through, but let them know that it's a long process and it might not be successful. So we decided to just move on and leave that on the back burner as we did a bunch of other things. I'll let the chief talk about the cameras, the speeding. If there is one common thread, the police officer said, every person he pulls up, they're running late. That was the primary excuse, I'm late for this. I can't leave a little earlier. That was the prime overall theme of everyone that gets pulled over for speeding, and not just on Sunset, throughout the town, at all the different areas that.
our town's only 4 miles square.
You're not gonna be that much. Good ahead.
Yeah.
Did anybody bring up any comments on the four-way stop change that's over by Chick-fil-A? I was just curious if there's been.
There's a
any
lot of
feedback
newer
there.
accidents. They put up signage that say there's a stop sign.
Yeah.
I want to say there was even a solar flashing light that said this is a change.
there's flags.
Stop.
Say like,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed to admit, I completely spaced everything, and the first time I went through there, I ran right through. Like nothing was.
Yes, because it is. I mean, if you've lived here for a long
Yeah.
time, and you guys have it on like automatic and you're like, da-da-da.
So I'm glad you guys and ladies were not around that.
Leave those signs there for a while.
The heavy presence when that first went in, with a lot of stopping individuals that just were just autopilot.
Mhm.
So, but I don't know, and maybe you do, Sabrina, I don't know to date that we've had any accidents there. Maybe some near misses, but I don't think we've had any collisions, which is good. So I think people are getting used to it.
Yeah, and the other ones were mostly ongoing things, the stop notations, is that Main and Division, Sherwood Boulevard and Division, where they were redoing the light, they were waiting for that, the Timber Crossing. That's finally back under construction and continuing on, and I think the goal is January, February.
When the snow comes.
Yeah, so, well, the big thing that hangs over the road is back order, basically, so that stuff doesn't come until then, they're doing all the prep work and everything now. And it seems like they're gonna have the sidewalk and crosswalk portion done when kids go back to school, cause they have this next week off. But yeah, the main light isn't coming until February, so there's gonna be, I think, more construction all this week since kids aren't in school. And then probably nothing until all the equipment shows up.
That'll be good though about the sidewalk and the crosswalk. Just because it's
Yeah. Yeah,
kind of a big hole.
it's at least something.
And obviously there's Richard mentioned ongoing construction. They were, I think they shut down the stop signs at Sherwood Boulevard and Sunset and Pinehurst and Sunset for a while, and they were flagging cars in Woodhaven. And they were kind of doing different sections at different times, but just avoid that area. I think that's all I have. And let you talk about the mobile cameras and all the other stuff that.
Yeah, as you said, there's no meetings in November and December because of Thanksgiving and Christmas for that board. So we won't have any updates again until February.
Yes.
All right, let's move on down the line here. Absolute news.
Yeah, one big thing that's coming in January is gonna be a ballot election coming for the city. We're putting two charter amendments on to a January ballot. And it's purposely a January ballot because we want to hopefully get these charter amendments passed before the next legislative session. So what one of them is gonna do, it's gonna codify requirements for this is for citizen involvement in land use decisions. It's gonna codify requirements for neighborhood meetings, public hearings, and mailed notices for certain land use applications. Ensuring transparency and public participation in alignment with our current process and statewide land use goal number 1. These provisions protect local processes from state laws that may limit public engagement. So some new laws that came out of this last session around housing, and we understand the goal of the state is we need more housing, and our governor, that's a lot of what she's pushing, and we don't disagree, like none of these charter amendments are anti-growth, but what some of the bills that came down to did strip away was public participation in those land use decisions. So right now we have, an application comes in, and depending what type it is, it goes to the planning commission, which allows a public hearing, which allows the public to come give their input. It allows the developers to hear from the public, and even if sometimes what the public wants by law doesn't have to happen, the developers get to hear that, and sometimes the developers want to be good actors and want to make their project nice in our community. So sometimes they'll work with the community and, to get what they want. So some of these decisions strip that away. No public hearing, no need for public participation, they don't even come to the planning commission or city council. It'll be a staff decision at that point, and city council or planning commission doesn't even get to weigh in on that. So that's a lot on the staff's shoulders. I mean, you have to know that your staff understands that what you want as a city, so we are gonna be the first on the map to do this, and we're the first city to try something like this, and we will see legally how it goes. I mean, it's a big lift, but we're just codifying in there what we want to still allow our community to have participation, be able to comment, and that notices still get mailed to the surrounding homes within that land use decision. And that was also stripped away from 1,000 feet to only needing to notify like 100 feet, which would be like 2 houses.
Next door.
You know, so that's one of them. And then the other charter amendment is declaring the city's exclusive authority to review, approve, or deny annexation requests, safeguarding local control over jurisdictional boundaries from state preemption. So really what we're trying to just hold on to is our local control, which was afforded to us, I don't know, 50 or 60 years ago by the state of Oregon. And that just slowly is eroding over time where the state just keeps ripping away our local control. So those 2 ballot measures are gonna be on a ballot coming out to you in January. They might get mailed December 24th. So,
And just to clarify, you want yeses on both of these.
I mean, I would prefer yeses on yeses, correct. I mean, that is our goal, is trying to get these approved, so yeses.
And that's like a special election, so this is the only thing on the ballot.
For the city of Sherwood, yeah, yeah. So your ballot and your voter's pamphlet will all be in one envelope, it'll go to you all at one time, yeah.
And what kind of voter turnout do you need to get these to pass?
Oh, that's a question I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't believe it's.
I think it's 50 plus 1.
No, it's not this, so there's, you remember back in the day, we had to have 50% turnout for any fee increase. This isn't a fee
Yeah.
increase.
It's just gonna, I think it's just the majority, I
Yeah.
think, so,
We just need somebody to show up and vote.
yeah,
More yeses than nos.
yeah. You know, 363 to 364, we're good.
Okay.
Okay. We just, Tuesday night, we didn't have our regular council meeting, we didn't have any business, so we just had 3 work sessions, we talked about, the opioid money that we've been getting for a couple years that we get like $35,000 to $45,000 a year off the opioid settlements that are nationwide, and we had a discussion on what to use those funds for, and came out of that work session was to, because we may receive these fundings through like 2038. So you can't depend on the amount, it fluctuates. So you don't want to spend them on something that you're not gonna be able to sustain past 2038. But what we came up with was to continue using the funds to fund our MHRT team that we partner with
Tigard and
Tualatin on. And then also a small amount of a component for, so we have a new youth advisory board. We're gonna see if, because the settlement money is supposed to be used to help, with information of addictions, helping treatment of addictions, public knowledge, education. So one of the counselors had a good idea of seeing if our youth advisory board might want to come up with a public engagement for teens, for youth about opioid use. And so we will put that forward to them and see if that's something they're interested in taking on. So yesterday here, we did a swearing in for some promotions of 2 officers. So we now have Captain Nathan Powell and Sergeant Ben Humphrey. And I didn't know this, but Captain Powell's been with us 24 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
a long time.
That's exciting. Who was it? Oh, Sergeant Humphrey. This room had seats all the way back to the wall, and that was like his whole family and friends. It was full. There was a lot of people showed up for that. That was exciting.
That's by far been the most that's ever showed up. He asked me a month ago, and I said this thing, he's like, how many people can I invite? I'm like, as many as you want. I had no idea. I mean, there's probably 50 people here for you.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So did he grow up then, like around here?
No, he lives down south, but I think he's been here 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
Been here a long time, but yeah, there's a lot. of
You
people
can
that
just
came.
tell he just has a lot of support. in his
Yeah.
career and
Yeah, a lot of family and friends, and
Yeah.
it was really cool to see. He wasn't kidding. He's like, he showed up.
Oh, that's cool. And then I think last week or the week before, the city finished up its session of Citizens University, which is 6 weeks of, 2 hours a week where people who signed up to attend this class would come for 6 weeks, and learn, a different department would come present, so they learn about how the city works, public work, finance, and then I think we ended with the police department, and I'm sure they got a tour and all the good things.
We're the best for last.
Yeah. You and the community services, I think you guys fight for top bill on who has the most fun, huh?
We want bragging rights.
How many people enrolled in that?
12 or 13?
Oh, yeah.
It did, I think it dwindled down.
Dwindled, yeah,
I think they're down to like 9 at the end. It's, you know,
and 6
Yeah.
weeks.
the downside.
Yeah, and I went my first time the year before I joined council, and it was very informative and very helpful. I kind of feel like I got a little leg up when I was on council. I know a little more than I knew before, so. And then you talked about the lights in the trees. Have you noticed the big snowflakes? So there should be 27 big snowflakes that have now would be hanging from poles down in downtown as well,
Really?
lit up snowflakes. So that came from a grant from the Community Enhancement Program grant. Yes, Lori,
What is that?
just snowflakes, just for winter, just to help, you know, we light up the trees in Old Town and then we just added more fun.
Okay.
During COVID, we had like, in Cannery Square, we had like the lighting scenes going on and different things, that we tried to make more festive for COVID because it was kind of a sad time for everybody and everybody loved it. So we had a citizen come to us and say, well, what can we do more annually, like not just because it's COVID, like what can we do in our downtown that just beautifies it during the winter, during the holiday season and so. And then, has anybody seen any other new art around town?
No.
Yeah. And at night, I'm like, oh,
What's it look like at night or?
it's like, there's a deer that might cross the road.
Do they have lights on them or?
No.
They're just.
So you're like riding around and you're like, oh, that's the new structure. And that's always my like route home. And so I mean, it's beautiful, but yeah, your reaction driving at night is, okay, be alert for coyotes or deer. And then you see the little like outline of it and you're like, oh no, we're good. They're really pretty though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny at night.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
So that was like one of our first public art installations with public art funds.
Cool.
It's the same artist that did, there's similar ones in Sisters, Oregon, same artist that did
Oh.
those ones, so.
Are they the horses and sisters?
I don't know.
Are we mean the ones along that field?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I think they have those deer in the.
They actually have some deer
roundabout.
somewhere. Yes, in a roundabout and so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right after the gas
But I
station.
know your horses, your
Those
dogs.
are cool. Yeah.
Oh, also at our work session, besides opioid, we talked about the mobile speed enforcement, which Chief will probably give you guys an update on. And then we had a conversation on the police department's social media page.
Oh yeah, that made the town Facebook page conversation about that.
Yeah, we had, we had a counselor who had a concern from some citizens that had a couple citizens that had concern about our Facebook page maybe offending some people or going too far. So wanting city council to adopt a social media policy that our city departments needed, to abide by. In the end, it came down with, some of us said that we trust our police department and our city manager to make those decisions. And if there is a complaint that comes that way, the chief knows how to handle that. And if, they know how to internally say, look at something and go, oh, okay, we can do better. What can we do better? So.
Didn't you just get a new social
Our
media
communications director.
director or something?
Yeah, but she's
That's
not handling the PD.
Okay.
Yeah, she's more on the city. The PD still has their POI. Yeah.
We trust you. I trust you.
And some changes have taken place. I think Chief could probably say like, what gets posted goes through 3 or 4 sets of eyes. It goes through the person writing it, through a sergeant and up to the captains, and then chief's also copied. So a lot of people get to review it before it's put out, just to, make sure, because you start writing that funny stuff and it's just funny. So,
And that's what makes it effective. Just
Yeah.
put my 2 cents in there. It's like
Yeah.
Yes, friendship bracelets, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's funny, those are people's comments. They're like, your posts are the best, cause they're different, they're different.
And if you get engagement, and if it didn't stand out, then it wouldn't have any kind of an impact. And what's the point of doing it if it doesn't have an impact? So, no, I agree. I think.
Yeah, we had some people on that. So then somebody took that meeting and made a funny vote.
Yeah.
Vote of their own about the meeting. And then we had a few comments of like, I can't believe city council is wasting their time on such a thing. And how it works is on city council, if there's a counselor who wants a meeting about something, they just need to get two other counselors to say, sure, we can have a discussion about it. And then it has to go on the agenda. So there's, which is good. I think that is good because was a time that there's been mayors in charge that wouldn't let anybody put anything on the mayor. And there's everybody on council is one vote. The mayor is not more important than anybody when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it's good that a minority can put something on the
Yeah.
agenda. So I'm not opposed to that. And it might be that some people think it's important and some people don't.
And then you are truly taking citizen concerns. Instead of like deciding what is.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Exactly.
you had 3 people that come and wanted to put this in front of the city council, or did this already happen? Is it,
Happened Tuesday night.
oh gosh. And,
Yeah.
and the vote was,
We don't vote in work sessions. We just have conversations, but the conversation in the end led to, we don't need a policy. Let's trust our administration and our chief of police that they know how to handle things. And if complaints come their way, they will deal with them appropriately.
good move.
So.
You know, I'm going to express what might be an unpopular opinion, but I know is present in our community because I've heard about it from several people. There used to be a thing called peer pressure that would help guide people's behavior. And I'm concerned about the idea that, you know, people are so protective of, you know, we shouldn't call this person out, we shouldn't put their faces on, we shouldn't put their license plates on, we don't know what's going on in their world. This is true, but there's also the idea that people are not being held accountable for their own actions anymore. And that really bothers me. And so the idea that we have to be so careful about what gets posted disturbs me. I understand that there's a line that you don't want to cross, but I also think that there's a lot of people out there. I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for people that I've heard talk about it. You know, there's a personal accountability, and it used to be that peer pressure would take care of it, would help educate people that this is not appropriate behavior. You don't go into stores and you steal. You don't go, you know, you don't go driving drunk and have no accountability for it, et cetera, et cetera. And so it bothers me that it's become such a topic of conversation that it has to be part of city council's idea of, do we need to regulate this? Do we need to say something about this? Personal accountability needs to come back because it's not out there in a lot of respects. And that just, it bothers me. I'm sad to see it going away. I'm sad to see people not being held accountable for their own actions. So.
Here.
My 2 cents.
Thanks, Lori.
That's all I had as a city councilor, unless anybody has any other questions.
We'll go to staff reports.
That's me. We got an hour and 4 minutes to coach. Just some quick updates. Councilor Young touched on our promotions, which is fantastic. To piggyback on that a bit, we had Jameson, who just graduated on Friday from the academy, so he's back in here, back at home base, and in FTEP, our training timeframe for him. We have another pending retirement coming up at the end of December, so we are trying to fill that as well. So we're shaking and moving in the personnel side of things, which is always fun. It's always fun to see people move up, and to Kim's point, 24 years is a long time. Actually, both of them have been here a long time, so it's fun to see them get promoted and just some succession planning. It's obviously important as well. And then I want to talk really quickly. Oh, the other cool thing, well, we're grateful. So we have associations. So we have the Police Officers Association, we have the sergeants who have an association. The city has an association of AFSCME, which lots of public works and part of the library, I believe, and community development. Long story short, we just settled the Police Officers Association, so they agreed to a 3-year contract, which is great. I think it's good for them. Hasn't been signed, but they've all agreed to it. I think the lawyers are doing the lawyer thing. So that's exciting, because those are always interesting times, since anybody's been on either side of those. But good for the city and good for the officers, so I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I made the tour about mobile enforcement starting out with you guys, and then moved on over to the Traffic Safety Board, and then on Tuesday, I spoke to City Council and work session about what that potentially could look like and some of the options. And my presentation wasn't any different, other than we had some further discussion on, what that would look like, funding and just potential options there. The feedback from council was they were in support of it, so we're finalizing a proposal of what that would look like in totality. I've spoken with the vendor because there were some specific questions, so yours was right on tonight regarding what's its capabilities. It can do that. It can set by the hour. So I'll just use Sherwood Boulevard, for example, it's 25, except for Monday through Friday from 7 to 3 or whatever those school timeframes are. So it can adjust. And so at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever, it goes back to whatever speed we want. So lots of variable options there. The other hurdle, which I think is good news for us, and I brought it up in both boards, was this 11-mile-an-hour threshold. How are we going to get over that? Because we think that legislatively we may not be able to. As you know, our city attorney was gone for the past year, being on deployment, and since has been back, and we've had a discussion, and he's done some research, and he believes that, I'm going to call it home rule, basically where there's where it's silent in the law, that we have the ability to do what we want. So that's the stance we're going to take on this. And I tell you that because if we do implement these things, then we'll have the ability to, drop that 11-mile-an-hour requirement down to like 6 in a school zone, which is kind of the idea. I mean, we don't want people doing 11 over in the first place. So having that ability to adjust that will be favorable for us. So next steps would be just finalizing the proposal and just making sure it meets, I think, all our goals, and in talking to the 2 boards, I think it does. And I think in council's asks and just questions they had, I think we've answered those. We haven't gone back to talk to them about it, but I think we have all the answers that we need to move forward with it. So I suspect the next time we talk, since we're not meeting in December, by January, we'll probably have a final answer of if and when, we'll deploy these things. I do know that when we do commit to it, it takes 90 days before we can procure them, so.
And who's the vendor?
Vera Mobility is who we're looking at right now. There's one of the things that came up in the work session is, okay, are there other options? Are there other vendors out there? And we've learned that, there's only 2. And, There are other people that do mobile speed, but our legislation requires, face photos to issue a citation. So that limits our options. So we can't necessarily go shopping to try and necessarily get really good deals, because we're kind of narrowed down to a couple vendors. But, we've been longtime customers and partners with Vera Mobility. Or they were Redflex, so, I mean, we haven't changed who we work with, it's just they got bought out, but, we had a good conversation with them, I mean, what today is. Thursday. I had a good conversation with them yesterday, about all these things, so. I think it's looking good for us and, addressing, especially. Safety board, you know, I know I think there's a lot of interest in what that can be and what the opportunity is, so. I think that's the update on that. Is there any other questions that you wanted answered in that arena?
Have you talked about, I think we talked a little bit at our last meeting about a trial period, I think we talked maybe 1 year. Or have you gotten that far?
So, yeah, I mean, because if we end up going with our current vendor, we have the ability just to write an addendum on our contracts with our lights currently in play. And so that could be year to year. We did talk about maybe a 90-day test period. I think based off of the conversations we had that we may not necessarily need to do that, but that's for discussion down the road. And here's the other cool thing about it is the first 30 days, you know, it's just going to be an educational kind of thing like we did here. I mean, you will be issued a warning citation that you violated such and such, whatever, and just like you would be getting a citation, but it's not, it'll come with you were speeding, please slow down. The one thing, and I think I mentioned it before, is that as these things have the ability to move around, they also have to have adequate signage prior to them. It's at 400 feet, so people are going to be notified 400 feet prior to the camera. And I can't remember if it's which board, but I had some clarification on it that these are only available for one lane of travel. Or one way of travel. So they can't, they can't capture like a north and a south.
Oh,
If we wanted north and south, we'd have to have two cameras, so one on each side.
They also can't capture, if there's two lanes going the same, it's one lane.
Well, I think they can capture the two.
Oh, they can capture
I
the
think
two.
they can capture the two. But they just can't capture all the way across. I think there's a threshold of distance that they can capture. I
Okay,
wanted to say it was 30 feet.
okay.
There's been a lot of info I've gotten, so I could be messing that up, but I think they can capture the two.
Okay.
That for them to capture both ways. So maybe on a single lane road.
You might be able to,
Maybe.
you could get them coming away from you and coming towards you.
Yeah, so the requirement for us to issue under these is you have to have the plates in the face. And so. The other question that came up, and I believe it was in city council, was the flash. So it would still have that same flash. I did ask one of the vendor yesterday, I said, what's that look like? Because those flashes are blinding. He said that.
Strobe light.
And, you know, those are way up, these are at eye level, and so they've turned them way down. I mean, and obviously you made a good point, he goes, we don't need that kind of distance, you're so much closer to capture the photo.
Yeah.
You don't need that illumination. So I was like, oh, makes sense, so it'll still be the flash, but it's just not gonna be as.
And wouldn't they, where you're using them around town, wouldn't most of them probably be on single lane type roads?
I was just trying to visualize like double lane places.
Yeah, we don't really have a lot, do we?
Walton Sherwood and 99.
Yeah.
My Nikki's got a center turn lane, so that
But
might,
Sunset is still single.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that wouldn't even come into play.
I was just quickly trying to visualize.
But I do think you need one.
Roy Rogers, that's 2 lanes, so that would be the challenge.
Yeah, I guess that would be, and that was another thing that came up as far as, do we have the ability to put these in arterial roadways such as Roy Rogers, so, and again, we believe we can, so, we'll have hopefully a lot of options. I think obviously what motivate a lot of this is the school zones.
Yeah.
And then can we get them in there and can we change a lot of that behavior because as the board probably hears a lot, there's a lot of frustration around schools. So that will probably be the first place. But as I've said before, the cool thing about it, having the ability to move it around, you know, and we could leave one for 9 months if we want. We'd leave it for a year if we wanted to. And we're maintenance free of these things.
They do all the work and all the
They
maintenance.
do all the works because they're solar. I think you asked me, Kim, the weight of them. I
Yeah.
clarified, they're 800 and something.
Oh, yeah, they're
So
big, yeah.
I was thinking 300-400 pounds, but they're like, nobody's gonna pick these things up
Yeah.
and walk away with them.
That's what my question was, could somebody just like tie a chain to it and drive off, you know?
Some teenager.
Their mobility, store the data.
Yes, it's right. Proprietary to them, in their back office servers where they keep it.
Which kind of ties into the question I had earlier, because there was an interesting article in Oregon Line about how a number of Oregon cities are turning off their automatic license plate readers,
LPRs, yeah.
just for fear that the information will be given to ICE to help with immigration issues.
Yeah, so that
Protection with our data, very well done.
there. You do bring up a good question. I have not read the fine details, but I know they've always just kept it in-house as far as, and I've never known them to sell it. It's probably good to follow up to your point because I know Flock was
Yeah.
a system that was brought up in some of that. And I do, because I know it's been a hot topic, everybody knows what LPRs are, correct? So we actually have access to them as far as a regional grant. So if we need like eyes or other security, because we just don't have the personnel, you know, we can bring them out, like say for an event. And you can put them up and we can monitor these cameras. They do capture data, they capture license plates, which in turn would let us know if it's a stolen car, if the registered owner has warrants, if they're suspended, those kind of things. To your point, concern was brought up about how is that being disseminated when it's going to potentially Flock. I would recommend that you go to Flock and their webpage. They address all these things. Because it's been a hot topic here in Washington County because the city of Hillsborough has a bunch and Washington County Sheriff's have them. So there's been a lot of conversations. So if you're interested on that data and how it's stored with them in particular in LPRs, I think it's good information. Back to your point with what Verra Mobility does. As I was told, that this was long before these kind of issues arose, is that it was all held in-house. So I will double check because it's worth the question.
Yeah,
We'll
it's-
probably get asked that question
Yeah.
by others, so
Yes, yeah, so thank you.
you probably should have that answer.
The only data that we receive as the city is, here's the package you need for a citation to issue a citation.
So what comes across is, photographs of the front and back plate. And then a photograph of the individual, and then the registration, because, Verra Mobility has the ability to run registration. So ABC 123 belongs to me. It would give my name and my address. It fills out a citation, like I would fill out if I was on the street and just stopped you. We review it to ensure, number one, that, you know, the violation did occur because they have stop lights and speeds and everything that is shown in this. And then we confirm as best we can that, in fact, let's say it's issued to Mike Smith and looks like Mike Smith, well, then we hit send. Now, every driver has the right to contest it. It's just a declaration of innocence. They can say it's not me. They send in their driver's license and we go, oh, I guess it wasn't Mike. It looked like it, but it wasn't. It's dismissed. I mean, that's the simplified version of it, but that is all the data we get, just nothing more than we would get if we just stopped you on the road.
And is it like logging into a Verra Mobility like platform to do
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Okay, that's good, cause then it all lives with them.
Yeah,
So
I
even
think
if you're looking at the data, you're not like receiving the data.
Nope, we log in and everything is done through their platforms, and then all their back end stuff. And I know that they have legal requirements that they have to follow. I can't tell you all of them, but it does spark a good conversation.
Yeah, because my concern would be that the feds contact Bear Mobility and want the data,
Yeah,
and we're a sanctuary city, correct?
we are. What's interesting is it's all held, it's.
Oregon is a
state,
sanctuary
yeah.
state.
Yeah.
So this
It's not a sanctuary city.
is out of Arizona. So we hold nothing here data wise. I don't know what Arizona's rules are, but it would definitely be worth just double checking.
Cool. So we're talking about purchasing two.
I think that would be the goal within the year. And there again, that's some further discussion because we're talking about, okay, what's one gonna cost us? What's that mean? Obviously, we gotta be financially responsible here. I think I talked about it before. We're not out here to make money on it, but we also don't want to necessarily be losing a bunch of money. So we want to try and make sure that we're at least cost neutral and how we deploy these things. Unfortunately, and here's the downside, is there's enough people that's feed in the city that will support this. Just for education purposes here, everybody always asks, if I write a citation that's for $165, it's split between county, state, and the city. We typically get $96 if it's a full bail amount that somebody pays. So round it up to 100. So $100, a citation would come back to the city. The problem is that's just not money in the bank. That has to support the staff. Unfortunately, these citations probably go through 4 or 5 hands. Because it comes to the officers, it goes to court, it potentially comes back here, there's issues with Sabrina. If you've ever seen her desk, it's stacked high because of all sorts of things. And then if it goes back to the officer again, because there's some more follow-up that needs to be done, it's not just as easy as just a review and move on. So in a lot of ways, I don't know, I can't say definitively, but there's not a lot of money making it by any means in this. It's just simply trying to run the processing and just the system itself. So
I mean, our goal is to change behaviors.
it is. And it does. We know it does, but we also know that we just know by human nature that doesn't stick for long in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to driving, unfortunately. We get accustomed to picking it back up again because the cop's not sitting on the side of the road anymore, the little machine's not sitting there anymore, so. I still think they're gonna be great tools because as we've always heard, there's a lot of speeding and we just don't have the personnel to be, everywhere at all times. And here's the best part about it is it works 24/7, 365. And you just call in and say, no, you got a workhorse right there, so.
The downside, or not necessarily downside, right now, our red light and speed cameras on 99 get 90% are out of towners. These are gonna hit a resident, so there could be more claims than.
Could be a little less popular.
Yeah. Although I feel like we'll have support if somebody gets one in school zones.
Yeah, I don't think
That is a
anybody's gonna
big
argue
thing
that.
on social media, like speeding in school zones, so.
They're gonna hate my idea about, once we get those real ones, we make a few fake ones. Just like. And so the little flash would go off and then it would change the.
Yes,
That was, I may not have shared that. That was my business idea for retirement.
Good idea.
Like a quarter of the cost, you get, we'll take 10.
yeah. That's all I got on that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Any other discussions we have before we're done? No, no one?
I hope everyone has a very happy Thanksgiving. And if we're not gonna be here for Christmas, then a happy
Yeah.
Christmas too.
You as well.
Happy holidays, all. I move to adjourn.
All right.
Second, well, let's say the meeting is adjourned.
Great.
All right.
What are you doing, Marianne?
Thanks, Laura. You were our savior because we didn't have enough corn.
Always happy to help. Good night, all.